Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't been here before, my name's Naya and I'm based in Myanmar, living and working there, but I'm currently at home in Australia due to coronavirus. Today I wanted to revisit the topic of coronavirus, specifically because a lot has changed since I last posted my video in late March. And so there's a lot I need to update you guys on. Even though I'm not in Myanmar, I have been actively following everything that's happening in Myanmar. Obviously I'm very invested since I call it home at the moment, and I have lots of friends and family who are over there. So before we start the video, please give this a thumbs up and press subscribe, press the bell so you get notifications when I post. All right, let's start. Okay guys, so much has happened. I need to update you completely. When I last spoke to you and updated you on coronavirus, there were no cases in the country. That has obviously now changed. However, there are a lot of positives and slight negatives to what's happening. All right, so now at the moment, the current count is 146 cases in Myanmar. And there has been a total of 5 deaths and 10 people have recovered so far. So that's not a huge amount of cases compared to everywhere else in the world, which is a really great thing to see in terms of numbers. However, disclaimer that there is still, I guess, a whole lot of cases we may not know about that are out there. I think testing is becoming a lot more readily available within Myanmar, which is really great, which means there might be a lot more cases come up just because we have more facilities and resources to test in Myanmar. So I'm kind of going to structure this and talk about a few different things, just the main things, because there is a lot that I could talk about, but I just don't have the time, guys, unless you want to sit here for like 4 hours, which you don't want to do that. Okay, so just starting with cases. So as I said, there's 146 cases. The first case that broke out was on March 23rd, and it's really great because I think before there was a first breakout, and already in like the middle of March, the government started to really take action and start putting in precautions, because the rest of the world, as we all know, was starting to really blow up in March. Like in Europe, in the US, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere was starting to explode and starting to reach their peak. So Myanmar saw that and they really learnt from what everyone else is going through and started putting precautions in and closing down restaurants, bars, nightclubs, like KTVs. They're all closed in early March, and the restaurants could only do takeaway, which has really been, I think, a really positive sign to see, because obviously the government's trying to take action, which is great because it's going to limit the spread. So now there is a few different things that you can do to follow cases. So there's a lot more resources available now, which is awesome. So for those of you who are in Myanmar, you likely know about this already. You'd be surrounded by the information, but those of you who are not in Myanmar, here are some good places to look. So one, you can look at the Worldometer tracker, so it gives you the tracking for globally the number of cases, but also specifically for Myanmar and the country. So if you want just like a quick, easy like check-in of what's happening. There is also a really cool like map that they've created, which is here, which is really awesome. Someone's created this map pinpointing where all the cases are, and it's a red dot plus like the case number that is in those areas. With Myanmar, there are a lot of cases that have come, well, as with a lot of the world, but have come from human to human, like passing it on. So they've kind of indicated what number cases are in each spot, which is really great. And then also the Facebooks for all the ministries, like the Ministry of Health and Sport, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, they've all given quite a lot of updates very regularly on coronaviruses on Facebook. So that was probably your main source if you want to read. A lot of the Facebook posts are in Myanmar language though, so I would suggest having somebody who can read it, translate it for you. I don't think that the Google Translate is like super good at translating Myanmar language. But yeah, so that's currently where we are with cases. So moving on to kind of lockdown and things that are being put in place. So Alex, my boyfriend, is still in Myanmar actually. And so our township, I think our township is now on lockdown. So there's a total of 10 townships that are in lockdown. So they are South Okalapa, Pabadan, Bahan, Mayangon, Insane, Shwepita, Hlangtaya, Tamwe, Mingaladon and Botatom. So they're all kind of in the similar regions and then spread out into the downtown area. So for these townships now they have like a semi-lockdown. So essentially they can go out for work and to go get groceries, but only one person can go. And for work you can go, you have to go to work and come back with a certain time frame. So I think from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. all those townships are locked down, and you're not supposed to be going in and out of the township unless you live there or you have like a very good reason for it and it has to be approved. From what I've seen, there are some photos here of how they are keeping the lockdown of these areas, so it's just very simple, but I mean I'm sure it's effective. So yeah, those townships are in lockdown. I don't know exactly what date that's going to be in lockdown till. I assume because they have the highest amount of cases that are coming from those areas, they will try and keep that on until the cases or any suspected cases from that area have closed. But I think it's really good they're doing the township lockdowns because it just shows that they're trying to limit the spread, and I think that will really help limit the spread because essentially most of coronavirus is spreading from human to human contact. In terms of quarantine, so what's happening with the quarantine at the moment is, I guess actually first of all, travel and visa updates. So travel, they put a travel ban in mid-March, so they put in a travel ban so that there was no more international flights from the 30th of March until, it was supposed to be until just after Tinjan, and then it was extended to the 30th of April, and then just recently that was extended to the May 15th, so there will be no international flights from Myanmar in or out. It's supposed to be until the 15th of May. Hopefully after 15th of May it'll be opened up so I can go back, but we'll see what happens. What I do know though is there are relief flights going outbound out of Yangon, so there's quite a few flights, well not heaps, but like there's been a few scheduled flights that were in April, and I think the last one's on the 30th of April that are going to Japan and Korea. This is so then people can then get a connecting flight from those countries back to wherever they are going home to, so that's good. There are relief flights, but there's, from what I know, yeah, no flights going into Myanmar. In terms of domestic flights, they were stopped until 30th of April. I think they might be opening up after the 30th of April, which would be really good, but I'm not really sure like what the rules are there. Hasn't been any clarification as of yet as to what they will be doing with domestic flights. Keep in mind, it is April 27th today, so this will be posted in April. Today that you're watching it is April 29th, so there may be slight changes that come out because everything's unpredictable. In terms of visas, they cancelled all e-visas and visas on arrival, and that kind of just works hand in hand with them not having any international flights. Once they open up again, I think that you'll be allowed to come in if you're a diplomat or if you already have a visa, working visa. But in terms of, I think for tourism, they won't maybe open that up for a little bit. But yeah, so fingers crossed. Hopefully it'll get back to normal soon. And then, okay, so then moving on to quarantine. So if you do get into the country, at the moment they have these quarantine rules in place, but I don't really know who's coming in. But anyway, so at the moment it's 21 days. 21 days. Who wants to stay in a facility for 21 days in Myanmar? No one. Nowhere in the world is doing that, I don't think. But anyway, it's very extreme. I think it's to deter people from coming in at all. But so yeah, there's 21 days in a facility and then 7 days at home quarantining, which is just wild. So I should not be coming back until that is lifted to maybe 14 days at home. I would prefer not to go into a facility in Myanmar for 14 days. So that's currently where they're sitting with that quarantine. Okay, yeah, so that was a pretty comprehensive update so far. What I also wanted to touch on was information accessibility. I think now it's really great. There's just so much information out there. I think last time I spoke about it, there was not much out there in terms of Myanmar, but there's a lot of activity now from news sources, from the government, and just from individuals across like the Myanmar COVID-19 Facebook page, which at the moment now I would have to say has like, I think it has like 800,000 or more members, which means there's a lot of people posting content all the time, and it might be hard to filter through that. Plus for non-Burmese or Myanmar language speakers, it is really hard to read because most of it is in Myanmar language. So I would suggest the Myanmar government created a really great COVID-19 website, which is in Burmese, but there are some parts, a main page, which I'll show you here, and I'll give you a link to down below, has graphs and everything in English, which kind of tells you the timeline of what happened, like how many cases they have and how they're monitoring it and what the suspected cases are, which is really helpful, as well as there is a lot of news sources. So my advice is because there is so much information now out there, I think it's really important that you filter through what you're reading and try and just read only the accurate information. Also try not to read about it all the time. I think it can be very suffocating. So just find out the information that you need, or just maybe the cases you need to find out, and make sure it's from a really valid and credible source, and then make what you want out of that. But yeah, try not to read too much. Make sure you try and read things that are accurate. It'll help you the best. Yeah, so moving forward in the future, hopefully after the 15th of May, they open up the international flights again. It'd be really great. I would really like to go back and come back to Myanmar because I really miss it a lot. But we'll have to see and play it by ear. I think obviously for the economy, it's great if things go back to normal earlier, but as long as Myanmar doesn't, have a spike or it increases as much, I think it'll be good to be opening up again. But I mean, all in all, last time I said that the government wasn't doing that much, but I think the government is doing a great job, and has put in place and implemented a lot of great things. I think the quarantine could be worked on a little bit and brought down to a not so intense quarantine. I know that like Hong Kong and Singapore have been really successful in implementing like wristbands to track people, and also an app to track people. I know in Australia we're starting to introduce an app to track people, so that they can like see who's interacted with who, and if someone gets a case, and they can like contact all those people. So I think that moving forward, coronavirus is not going to go away so easily, so it's a matter of just learning to live with it. So if we can introduce these sort of applications or technologies that can help us monitor and our movements and the spread, it'll be the quicker that we get back to normal life as much as we can. But for now, my advice is to stay happy, stay positive. I know it's really hot in Myanmar, but also it's kind of raining at the moment. I think that there's potentially a lot of extreme weather happening. So yeah, stay safe, stay home. If you're around your elderly family, try not to get in contact with them too much if you've been outside touching other people, because that's very high risk. But yeah, wash your hands, stay happy, stay active, move around, exercise your body, and we will all get through this soon. So I really hope that everyone is trying to keep as positive as mind as you can. If you have any questions, leave them below. I'm happy to answer them. If you have any things that you want to like inform me or want to correct me on, I'm totally receptive to that, so please comment below. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope that this has helped you guys understand a bit more of what's happening in Myanmar in terms of coronavirus, and we will all get there and we will all come out of it stronger. So thank you so much for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy.